Hi there, welcome to the Happy Chicken Coop YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be discussing how to feed meat chickens. Before I get into that, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, make sure to subscribe to our website, thehappychickencoop.com. If you subscribe using the link in the description, you'll receive a free ebook on the 10 best egg-laying chicken breeds. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the way we feed meat chickens is a little different than feeding a typical layer hen. Chickens bred to be efficient. Meat birds grow much faster than chickens intended to produce eggs, meaning that they have different nutritional requirements and so on. A Cornish cross, for example, is ready for processing in about 8 to 9 weeks, while a heritage breed like the Jersey Giant won't have enough meat on its carcass for about 6 months. In this video, I'll discuss on how to feed a Cornish cross broiler properly, and you can apply this to your other meat chickens. So before I do that, I want to make a note that you can actually feed meat chickens incorrectly. Unfortunately, some new chicken owners unknowingly purchase Cornish crosses as chicks from the local supply store, not knowing they were intended to live a long life. These birds may accidentally be overfed and die because their organs failed due to rapid weight gain. Sometimes these birds grow so fast that their legs cannot handle the weight of their body, causing leg injuries. On the other hand, if underfed, broilers may not receive enough protein to sustain themselves and they may die prematurely. Let's talk about how to feed meat chickens for appropriate growth rate. Because broilers are fast-growing, large-bodied birds, it's important to follow feed plans for chickens intended for the butcher at 8 to 9 weeks. Following broiler meat chicken feeding plan is intended specifically for Cornish cross broilers. Alternative breeds such as Rangers may require a similar feeding plan with a few tweaks. So let's start off with week 1, feeding meat chickens new chicks. During the first week of a meat chicken's life, it should be fed medicated starter feed, which is the same type of feed given to chicks that are intended as layers. Starter feed is high in protein content, giving young chicks a healthy start when they grow the fastest. Ensure your chicks get a feed with at least 20% protein content during weeks 1 to 3. Let's talk about that medicated feed. Medicated feed is important during these first few weeks because it helps prevent death amongst chicks due to coccidia. Coccidia is a protozoan that can be picked up through feces. Most chicks and chickens have this protozoan in their bodies already, but when chicks are young, their immune system is not as strong enough to combat coccidia, and they can die easily. Once a chick is about 3 years old, it will most likely survive a contraction of coccidia or coccidia. So, feeding schedule during week 1. During week 1, your chicken should have access to fresh food and water 24/7. At this point, there's no reason to limit the amount of feed your chicks are getting. Now let's talk about week 2. Feeding meat chickens. Continue to feed medicated chick starter feed during the 2nd and 3rd week of the chicks' lives. At the beginning of week 2, it's time to switch to a feeding schedule for your meat birds to prevent overeating and growing too quickly. When your chicks are this age, you're focusing on efforts on preventing loss due to heart and leg issues that arise from an exceedingly fast growth rate. I recommend feeding your chickens 12 hours on and 12 hours off. This means you should keep their feeders full during the 12 hours on and remove their feeders for the following 12 hours. Try your best to feed your chickens during daylight hours because chickens are creatures of habit and prefer to roost and sleep during the night. If you start to notice your broilers running out of feed before the 12 hours are up, you can add more. Make sure to monitor your chicken's behavior at this time. It's important to watch your chickens for signs of exhaustion or inability to move. If chickens are overfed from here on out, they may not be able to exert themselves enough energy to get to the water or feed themselves and take care of themselves in general. Additionally, weak, overweight chickens risk getting pecked, contracting infections, getting trampled on, or being eaten by other chickens. At the first sign of immobility or fatigue, reduce the amount of feed you're giving by about 5% until the flock appears more lively. It's important to note that broilers in general aren't as lively as other breeds of chickens, so you should expect some laziness. Now, let's talk about week 4, finishing off feeding your chickens. Once your chicks are 4 weeks old, it's time to switch to an unmedicated grower. Finish your feed with a protein content between 16 to 18%. Your chickens will continue to grow for the next 5+ weeks, but the lower protein content in their feed will protect them from growing too fast. As you finish your chickens, continue to maintain a 12 hours on, 12 hours off feeding. Use this schedule all the way up to 24 hours before processing day. Additionally, your chickens should no longer need medicated feed because they'll be able to tolerate small bouts of coccidia. After all, you've set them up for success. Likely they've already battled it as a chick on medicated feed, and now they have an immune system that will fight infections better. Now, let's talk about feeding meat chickens and maintaining the weight in the last few days. On our farm, we prefer to pull back on grower feed for the final weeks before processing and instead give our chickens regular layer feed because because it has a lower protein content. We specifically do this if we have a flock of straight run chickens because hens tend to grow slower than the roosters in the flock. This practice allows the hens to grow another week and keeps the roosters from growing too much or becoming tough. Now let's talk about the day before butchering. The day before we process our chickens, we remove food from the chicken tractors. Since we process our own chickens, we know what it's like to dress a bird with a full belly and crop of food. It makes clean processing easier if the chickens haven't eaten in about 24 hours. If you follow this feeding plan for meat chickens, you'll set yourself up for success with your broilers. Providing medicated feed early on, feed on a schedule, and then monitor your chicken's behavior. This way you'll prevent loss and end up with a tender chicken for the dinner table. That's going to do it for us here at the Happy Chicken Coop. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. If you find our content interesting, if you learned something new, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.